What's going on, everybody? Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I am John, and I am thrilled that you are joining us here today. Lots going on in the tech world, and so we are going to talk about. I'm just going to check my audio levels real quick. All right, that sounds pretty good. So let's roll with it, and we will see what we can come up with. Thanks for coming along. Today's show, I've been kind of like thinking through, and I was earlier in the week, I was like, what am I going to talk about? Of course, ISE is underway. And I don't know if you hesitate like I do when it comes to trade shows, because although I love to go to them, and I will be at NAB this year, although I love to go to them, I always get nervous when there are a bunch of new products on the stand. And I don't know if that's my history teaching me about manufacturers and how what trade show expectations are, getting people to talk about your product at the show to get more people to go to your booth. And have you seen that new thing over at such and such stand? That always kind of makes me a bit nervous, just because on the back end, I now understand that on the back end, the product cycles kind of coincide with exposure to the market. And, the world right now, the commercial world, all right, the industry, we'll say, is a little bit divided just because of the way that the United States is positioned in the grand scheme. Matter of fact, I saw from a friend of mine, he put up a poll up on LinkedIn a day or two ago and just said, given the climate right now in the United States, are you choosing or not choosing to go to NAB? And some people put yes, some people put no, some people put no for other reasons, not necessarily political. And I thought that was, I guess I hadn't really considered much of that, because I do know that, in terms of business, it doesn't really matter what's going on. You're still trying to make money. And so there are those, I think, who will not go because they're not able to come. But I don't know if too many serious companies are not going to come just because it's hosted in the United States. And so there's this question about NAB, and I could be totally wrong. As a matter of fact, I have been wrong on these things before, and I will be wrong on them again. But, strong feelings aside, I'm curious about NAB this year, just about what the turnout is, because we went through all of this before with COVID, right? So in 2022, when we went back online, NAB kicked off again. We all had various protocols. I actually got COVID from that show, but when COVID was a thing, it took NAB a while to kind of pick back up. And the naysayers have always said, it's just not like what it used to be. Well, trade shows end up turning into a great example of this. If you're familiar at all with Southern Ontario, is a place called the Exhibition. The Exhibition used to be a place where vendors from around the world would come and kind of like, what was it called? The World... now I've forgotten. Anyways, it was kind of like that, but every year it would be hosted in the fall, and the Exhibition was a place where new inventors, people from around the world, could come and showcase their products. And a lot of, back in the early days of the X, is what we call it. Back in the early days of the X, there were all sorts of, guys selling vacuums and inventing things for the home and robots and all sorts of stuff. It was really cool. Well, in the 90s, in the late 90s and early 2000s, it really turned into them trying to get whoever they could to fill the spots, we'll put it that way. And the inventors didn't really see for what they put in financially, they didn't really see the benefit for making a big deal about going to Southern Ontario, going to Toronto, and showcasing, the World's Fair, that's what it was. Anyways, the Exhibition was kind of like a small version of this. And it was always interesting when I was growing up, okay, this is so early 90s, the X was still a pretty big deal. And we would go in the fall to go down there to the exhibition grounds and to Ontario Place and all that. Centerville's down there as well. we would go down and we'd hang out for the day, and there was a big giant convention center essentially where all of these companies would set up. Well, when it got to the late 90s and early 2000s, they were really trying to find people to fill these booths, and so it turned into a lot of people that were just like making crafts in their living rooms and not really too much in terms of the exhibition, like the world is showing up to exhibit their products. And so there were other things that were still worth going to the X, but that international house where all of those vendors were, it didn't really turn into, it wasn't really what it used to be. I think the same thing can be said in some regards to NAB. And part of the issue I've noticed, and I've only been there since 2019, which is relatively, I'm young on the scene in terms of going to NAB, and I've missed a couple of years in there. But I went in 19, I went in 22, and I went last year in 25, and I'll go again this year. The thing about NAB is it's such a humongous venue space, and I don't think that the venue, people want to make it smaller and limit the exhibit space so only the people who really have something worthwhile showing show up. But man, I went to some of the halls last year, and we went to go and find Peplink. They were in a different hall, and we were wandering around Peplink, and we found actually like TriCaster VisRT in this hall. Jeremy Morrison, shout out to Jeremy. He's an awesome dude. We went there and found Peplink, but that hall was it was vendors I had no interest in. And now granted, NAB has a lot of things that I'm not interested in, but it seemed like a lot of them were not very serious booths, like not cornerstone booths, where what I mean by that is, like Blackmagic has that's a bad example. Blackmagic's booth is just ridiculous. But even guys like Bird Dog and guys like Ugreen and Netgear AV and these companies all build a booth, right? It's not just like a PVC pipe with a curtain thrown over it and then your logo's hanging off of some fishing wire. It's actually they've invested a fair bit of money. I felt like there were several halls. There were 2 halls last year that were pretty much like that and worth spending a day in. But then the rest of the outliers and whatever, these companies didn't have the capital to kind of spend the type of money to make a presentation at a big venue like that. And I don't know if it's getting more or less. Like if companies are investing less or more in building big booths like that and having, having a presence there. So I'm interested to know, over the next couple of years what happens with NAB. I think there are lots of varying factors that play into this, but as we we'll see here today, ISE, which is basically the European NAB, is underway. Now some people say it's not as big or well attended. It's in Barcelona, Spain, and it's always a show that I wish I could afford to go to or have an excuse to go to, but I never have. Matter of fact, I was supposed to go with my previous employer, but months in advance, those plans always got changed, and I got axed because I was low man on the totem pole when it came to actually being on a venue. So, like being at a trade show. So we'd always have our European crew there, and they always did an amazing job, led by Phil Lane and guys like Robbie. And now I don't even know who's there. I know that Jamie's there, one of my former bosses. Jamie's there, and CJ is there because CJ's a project manager, and I believe he is in charge of the encoding projects because they just announced a project, which we'll get into. But I don't want to jump right into Bird Dog as they were my former employer. Lots of things have been announced, and I've done a couple of days of looking around and some things that I think are interesting. And so I want to do that, and I want to share basically the videos that I think are fascinating, and we will go from there because this is my show, and so we can do whatever I want. All right, so let's start with Shure. Shure has launched a portion of their system is called IntelliMax. And what that is basically conference room technology. And they're building ecosystems for conference rooms because they want it to be a turnkey solution where they basically ship you a package, you install it, you plug it in, and off it's running. I actually believe that ecosystem technology is really undervalued because when you buy a piece, you know, there are those of us who use companion and buttons and yada, 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 and we piece it together ourselves. But when it comes to more corporate installations and actually where you're going to make a sale and not have to support it all the time is really in these turnkey solutions. And so a product like IntelliMax, which is basically cameras, speakers, and, you know, some sort of tablet to integrate it all together for meeting rooms, conference rooms, you know, church classrooms, I don't know, whatever you want to do. That's what this is. So they have launched, which is hilarious. They have launched a bar, which is an all-in-one microphone array, speakers, camera, from what I can tell. And I looked around for the promotional material so I could get a good idea as to what it was, and I found really nothing useful. So this happened at ISE on day one, over on the show floor just a couple of days ago on the 3rd, and was uploaded. I don't know who this guy is, but you know, let's listen and see what they have to say.
Hey everybody, it's day one of ISE, still only day one. The short stand is absolutely buzzing.
Yep.
And I feel like this was like some of the worst kept secret in the industry. Everybody's been really excited, but now public, your new Teams Rooms Bar, MDEP, we've got Yard to give us the MDEP perspective. Tyler, you can give us the Shure perspective.
Absolutely.
So maybe Tyler, you can start, give us a bit of an intro to the bar. And there's a lot of bars, right? What makes this different?
Exactly. It's a crowded field. We understand that. And you know, why now, right? It's the innovation. We knew that we could bring real innovation to the space with the IntelliMax Bar Pro. And that's exactly what we did. So obviously, Shure array built in. So that fantastic audio that people have come to rely on us for, built right into this bar with our IntelliMax software, you know, processing on the back. So the deverb and the denoiser and everything that we need to make calls sound great, but also those transcripts like read more accurately, all built into this device. But obviously one of the most striking things at the top is our IntelliMax View, our patented camera system put into this, you know, consisting of the two cameras kind of in the middle. So we have a telephoto and a wide angle, and then those two telephotos on the edges, right?
Yeah, so for those, so you've got digital cameras right on the edge.
Yeah, and it's different, right? And that difference is all about the innovation that we could bring here of what are you trying to solve, right? We've been great of kind of getting that equity in audio, being able to capture everyone in the space for a long time now. That's what people know us for. But how do we capture everyone in the room from a video system, right? So that ability to have a really long table and be able to see everyone, we can do that by physically spacing those cameras out and providing better shots of everyone in a room so everyone looks natural and everyone looks comfortable.
Awesome. I love the white as well. This is the first time I've seen it.
I know, it's been great.
Nice. So, you know, lots of partnerships for you guys in the team space, and this is nice to see another MDEP device coming to market. Like, I'm sure people know by now, but what does MDEP bring to the partnership in terms of the devices?
I think the most important piece is the fact that Shure now has the ability to do what they do best, have done best for years and years, and 100 years this year, right?
Last year. This is 101.
101. Do what they do best. Bring, you know, fantastic audio, great video, and not having to deal with developing an Android platform and an operating system and everything that comes along with it. So we worked in great collaboration where we brought the foundation and Shure just built everything on top of that.
Yeah. So for a customer, they've got the trust that Microsoft's taking care of the OS, the security, the patching, like obviously years of experience in that, and Shure bringing their expertise to the collaboration, audio, video experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I said it a little bit earlier, right? I'm so excited about the technology and the innovation in the bar with the audio and the video, and it's kind of three pillars. It's that audio, it's that video. Those are both fantastic. We take care of that. But if we can't have a security conversation, there's no conversation to be had. And I want to talk about that. Yeah. And so having MDEP on board allows us to just immediately have that built-in trust with our IT decision makers and our end users that the security is completely taken care of and that everything is going to be safe. So now we can get to talking about how the audio and video is going to change their meeting experiences.
Awesome. And this really rounds out the portfolio. You've still got the Windows MTR as well with the multiple camera options, the Foundation edition up to the different Hudley camera accessories as well. and your synths are. I can't remember the spec. What's the?
Yeah, so this is our MXA 902. So all-in-one ceiling array with a built-in loudspeaker and full processing built in. So put one over a table and you can capture everything, and also the firing can be heard from that single device.
Awesome. Well, thanks for catching us up, guys.
Thanks so much, Tom.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tom.
Jeff. Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So that is what's interesting about these bars is that there's tons of them, right? Like there's so many people that are producing those. I know several companies that have attempted to make one and then didn't. And so it's fun to see those things kind of come out to fruition. It's, it's an interesting, this is the black version, which I think is way more, tidy than the white, but I guess it depends on what your system is. Like if you have a totally like white conference room, I can understand why you might want that. I like to hide things, and all of my stuff is usually black cases, black, everything is black monitors. And so that's more my style, but that's just a preference. And really it's just based on the conference room. What I do like is we have an ecosystem and an integrated piece that basically takes care of tons of stuff. And if you look on the IntelliMax, whatever they're calling it, conferencing options, you'd also have options for like in-ceiling speakers, and you have control panels and a bunch of things. I do not see, this kind of concerns me a little bit in terms of the marketing. I do not see any use case data. And as a consumer, at a trade show, what companies love to do, and be wary of this, what they love to do is say, oh, well, it's brand new, and so we haven't had time to do that. That is, as far as a consumer is concerned, that is a marketing fail. You are not prepared to present real world stuff to the consumer. And a live demo is the way that you take care of that, is on the show floor. You run a live demo, you plug it in, you show that it is fast, that it's working, that it's real. Even if it's a prototype, then we know that you're 95% of the way there, and that's great. If you just have it sitting there, not plugged in, it's cold, and guys can touch it, that's something. But if you don't have any examples, or you're not showing it being used, the best marketing, as far as I'm concerned, is if you walk up to a booth and they hand you a new product, say, this is our new product, this is how it works, this is what it is. And the best thing is that it's running, like there's 6 of them here, they're all running, and that, like, you're seeing it in real time. This is a real thing. We're that close. Even if it's not to market yet, which is another thing that we've talked about extensively on this show, but something that I'll reiterate again today, even if it's not to market, having it up and running, multiples of them, it's not just a single unicorn that you got from the production line and you put it in your bag and you went to the show. If it is well thought out, the show is ready, you're ready at the show, then I believe you that you design this product not necessarily to be launched at the trade show, but it's convenient that the trade show is happening now because we're ready to show this thing. Or it's been done and you've had the discipline to sit on it for 3 months so that you can launch it at a show. That, when I walk up to a booth as a consumer now, when I walk up to a booth and the company says, here it is currently functioning, here are 6, 10, 12 examples of it all working perfectly, then I'm placing an order if I want it. Then my buying line item is, I want to get a couple of those because I saw them working and I know that they're going to be available when I go home. If I go on to the distributor's website and they're currently out of stock or coming soon, that takes the wind out of my sails, because what happens then is I go to the rest of the trade show. Sorry, I'm going to move this over. I go to the rest of the trade show and I see products that are working, and then I'm more impressed with them than I am with you. And it actually doesn't really matter too much about my expectations of a company. Like, say I go to a different company that's doing a bar And they can say, yeah, we know Shure just came out with it, but here's the reality, and here's why ours is better, and here's why you can buy ours today. Well, if I'm in the market for a sound bar or for a conference room bar or whatever, you know what? Maybe I want to get that project done, and I don't want to wait around for you to figure out how to get your manufacturing production suite. Or perhaps I'll go with less features because I can get this thing done now. I can bill the customer. I can, actually promote and explain it to the customer, whereas your product is not ready, and it might be out in 6 weeks or it might be out in 6 months. I don't know. And especially companies that have that in their past. So I'm sure that you all understand what it is I'm saying. What's going on, Happy Camper? Good to see you. Hey, I'm all about the ecosystem. Same. And the we'll go back to ecosystem in a second, just because I think that it's a under promoted function that companies need to really understand. Is I would honestly much rather buy a turnkey solution than to go around and pick the absolute best of everything and then figure out how to automate it all behind the scenes. If I'm an integrator, and I am, if I'm an integrator and I want to sell something to a customer, I want to be able to sell it to them, bill them for it, and walk away and not have to support it. Okay? I want you to support it if it goes south. So here's a great example of that is Netgear. Netgear AV, if you buy their 42, 4350s, 4300s, or 4500s, if you buy any of those switches and you need help, you contact their support on their channel. The customer doesn't come back to the integrator and say, our network isn't working, what's going on? It's like, no, you own your network. Here is the support. And every time that I've reached out to Netgear support, they always get back to me. So I'm out of focus again. Okay, let's see if this will work now. All right, nope, it's not. There we go. All right, let's change the depth of field. So something like Netgear support is a great example of a product that I want to integrate this project and next, because I know that they're going to actually support it if the customer ever has an issue. A matter of fact, let's jump over to Netgear real quick and talk about what it is that they've got going on. Now, I've cropped the sides of the window here, so just bear with me. The part of the website's going to run off the screen. But yeah, if we scroll down here, oh, you know what? And I don't need to do that. Let me change that in. I've cropped it, but I don't need to anymore because I am capturing. Where's the reset button? I am capturing the whole thing, so I'll keep that one cut, I guess. Yoink and yoink. Okay. All right, so here is the Netgear website, and what's neat about, why didn't the left and right change? What's neat about this, that's the top, these are the sides. I see. Or do I see? What on earth? Mains. Okay, that's the top. Oh, weird. Oh, it's showing what's behind. All right, well, whatever. We're going to keep going. So here's Netgear AV. This site is pretty great. They are showcasing their new switches in their 4350 family at the show. The thing about, let's go wired networks. The thing about the 4350 right here is they already launched these well before ISE, which makes me think that these are real. They announced them long before the show actually began. And so in particular, this guy right here, this is the 4320, the MSN 4320. And what I am really curious about on this guy is this modular patch on the front. How cool is that idea? You have these, first of all, you have these ports that are EtherCon, which means that you can buy protective shielding for your cables or just EtherCon cables, and they click in like they do, like an XLR cable clicks in. but then they're locked and they can't really get pulled out without you deliberately pressing the release button and pulling them out or ripping them out. There's also that option, I guess. But why you would do that, nobody quite knows. So this, though, is a modular piece that you can take out and replace with the different modules. So is there a spot here that actually shows speeds? Okay, where are the modules? That's what I want to see, because I want to know what options I've got. This guy obviously has, what are those? 2.5. Nope, that's the. Let's look here. EtherCon and 425 gig SFP28s. So you're getting 100 gigabit speeds on this thing, which would be probably for small installs. This would operate just fine as your core because you have the option to do EtherCon. Not that you would really need to, but you're having, SFP28s, which is probably far more than most AV, mostly video or KVM requirements. But then you also have 2.5 gigabit ports on all of these like EtherCon things, right? So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Where is it saying it has 16 12 by 2.5s? Because I see the EtherCon, 8 EtherCon ports. But then is it on the back? Maybe it's the module. You got another shot of it here. I see 8 ports here. I don't see 16. So perhaps or maybe it's 8 on the front, 8 on the back. Yeah. That's what it is. So 8 on the front, 8 on the back, with 8 of them being EtherCon. Okay, cool. Tons of power. That budget is humongous. But what is the PoE? It's probably PoE. Oh, plus. Okay, so you're almost at PoE max. What is that, 60 watts per port? So yeah, tons of power across this thing. It's not small. It's a full width. It's a full rack width. Obviously 19, but also probably 22 inches long or something like that. So she's a beefy girl. And that is a pretty amazing switch. This would work great as your backbone. The EtherCon may be a little bit overkill if you're going to use it as an EtherCon, but you have these 8 ports in the back, and then you have these fiber ports in the front. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think that's a pretty great. Let's just do this real quick. That's a pretty great. Oh yeah, watch out, everybody. The new update for VLC will break your NDI audio if you're using NDI and VLC. Hey, that's a bonus. Found that out this morning. All right, so this switch is one of the ones that they've announced, and also don't know if you've noticed, but on LinkedIn, Netgear AV, and in particular Gus, I believe his name is, he is going crazy with the LinkedIn marketing. And good for them, because the trade show should not be just about the people that are at ISE. I know your focus is there, but you need to, if you're a big company, if you've got more than, if you have a booth, let's put it that way. If you have a booth that's been constructed, you need a marketing person there that is doing full-time marketing on your social media and putting out there, look what you're missing. All right, driving that idea of this is why we do trade shows, you're missing out. And then at the end, you have a ton of content that then you can crank out in the next 2 weeks to put up on your social media channels. But you need to be driving home the look what you're missing thing. So Netgear has some new gear that is really awesome that they've recently launched. Look at this beefy Jesse right here. That is a boss. My goodness. Jeez, man, that thing is a tank. And it's just straight up. It's just straight up QSFP28s. So, my goodness, yeah, she's a big girl. That one right there. I think that's one of their more recent launches. Also, wouldn't mind getting my hands on something like this, which is another massive switch. It has 4 QSFP 28s, which are 100 gigs, and then all of these 40 10 gig SFP plus ports. So this, I mean, this is kind of the next level of core switching. This right here. If you had one or two of these as your redundant cores, I think what you do is you go out to all of your branches, or if you're spine and leafing things, you come in all of your 10 gig ports here redundant, so you can trunk it if you want, but you come in redundant. Each of these, each 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8, trunk those ports so you get all your VLANs headed out to each of your switches. But then these right here, you patch together your two cores on the backbones, 2 of these on each, which gives you 200 gigabits through the backplane. So you'll never, ever, ever, I say that now, but you know we're going to push that limit in 10 years. We'll be laughing at this live stream for multiple reasons, but also laughing at my, you'll never need to upgrade. You will, but 100 gig backbones, 200 gig backbones, that's where it's at. You get 2 of these, you daisy them together or stack them, and then you can do then 2 fibers from each core to each of your switches, or to each of your headrooms, or whatever you're doing there, or you do 1 from here and 1 to the other, depending on how big the installation is. So Netgear has some really exciting stuff, but I actually believe them because, first of all, they deliver on a deadline, but second, look at this, the little baby one. That would also be great as a backbone for your small installs right here. You got less than 3 headroom, 3 headrooms. You could do something like this, dual them up. That'd be great. No idea what these cost, by the way. They're probably $1 bajillion, but pretty cool offerings from Netgear right now, and I'm pretty excited to see what they're up to. I would love to see some Ethernet ports. This is their new. This would be more like a typical fiber core where you have fiber and you have Ethernet on both. We've got PoE++ on there, but I would love to see some 100 gig QSFPs along with some Ethernet options. That would be fun. Apparently there are more options here, so let's keep scrolling. A lot of mini half-size switches. That's fine. These guys are still around, and Bob's your uncle. So good times. I wonder if this module could do, see, these are 10 or 25 gig SFP 28s. So I'm wondering if you could swap those out for a different I'm sure you can, a different module, but have let's see the data sheet. Let's see if it tells us what modules there are. All right, yep, looks like we've got mods here. So can I make this bigger, or just want to see what these are? Those are, I can't really even see what those are. We have Ethernet ports, so if you didn't want to use, if you just wanted to expand it again to more Ethernet ports, here's some more information. Here, 2 optical con quads, or 2 optical con quads, multi-mode, single mode. Okay, so that's what these are. Optical con quads. That's cool. I'm gonna have to do a little more research, I think. But amazing stuff, man. And they're, the thing about this technology is it's just going to get faster and cheaper. And so pretty excited about the future in the networking world, just because, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so Netgear, they have products. They're showcasing them on the floor. Gus is doing unbelievable work when it comes to marketing. He's kind of the trainer and the spokesman. If you follow him on LinkedIn, you will see lots of his stuff. Telemix. The next I want to talk about is Panasonic. They are addressing an issue, and this is going to be interesting for churches, conferences, where you have not typical screen sizes. They now have a mix engine that basically you put in the size that you want, and it spits out that output like that simply. There's no more, it's rock solid configuration, and then you take your videos and it can stretch it across. You can even set it up as they are, inside the viewer so that you get a visual representation, and it's very straightforward. So let's go ahead and watch and listen to see what Panasonic's up to.
Hello, I'm Jaume Miró, Head of Project Management at Panasonic Pro AV. In traditional broadcast, 16:9 has been the standard aspect ratio, but that's no longer the only format we should consider. More and more content is being produced in 9:16 for vertical displays and smartphones, while LED screens and projection mapping demand a wide variety of custom formats. We now see ultra-wide and vertical screens everywhere, from TV studios and theaters to concerts and sport venues. Stadiums in particular are using LED ribbon boards and fascia displays that require extremely wide resolutions with dynamic and engaging content. And this content must be fully synchronized and integrated into the overall visual experience. The good news is that Kairos, the live production platform from Panasonic, can create any resolution and any aspect ratio, no matter how unconventional they are. The process is intuitive and straightforward. Users can create compositions on a flexible canvas of any size. Kairos is supporting resolutions of up to 12K or 66 megapixels and can output any of these custom formats via HDMI or IP using ST2110 or IPMX, which is coming in the next release.
Interested to know what sort of
This
backend
means
you have
there
to
is
run
no
to run
need for
12K
external
content across all
converters,
these multiple
signal
screens.
reassembling, pillar boxing, or letter boxing. You work directly at the native resolution and aspect ratio of your screen, treating it just like any other output. With this capability, Kairos brings all the elements of a production together, delivering simultaneous content in multiple resolutions and formats, while simplifying the operation. It's an efficient, highly automated solution that transforms the atmosphere of any venue, keeping the audiences fully engaged.
Panasonic.
Cool. So that's a pretty fun offering in terms of the next. It's making all of this very accessible. You know, he's leaning into large concert venues, stadiums. That might indicate what the price point is going to be on something like this, where it may not be obtainable, but it does basically unlock the creativity aspect. Because what my experience has been that you have like stage designers and set designers and lighting designers and all these people, and the screens are always the thing that you have to figure out what are you going to do. Here's a great bad example of something I experienced one time. A year ago, I was down in Florida for a conference that I was helping run, and we were on stage doing some music and whatever. Well, during the keynote, there was like a sit down on the stools type of chat for the keynote about some guys that were doing some mission work overseas. And the screen options that they had were slides were on a 16:9. And then on the left and right, they had not quite 9:16s, but, probably more like 7:16s. Like they were kind of thin, but they were these long columns where they were showing live video from the cameras. Well, a couple of things was going on here. People were sitting on stools. You know how you sit on a stool. And so their legs were up on the rungs. And when the camera would go to the person talking on these thin shots, it was all like midsection to feet. You know what I mean? Like it was really framed wrong. And so much so, because they were also live streaming this out to the world, they were doing 16:9 on the live stream, but then they were doing this like squashed in shot. So everybody was always center, fine, but they were like, I hate to say it, but it was like this massive crotch shot. And so we're sitting on the front row with these massive screens that are up in front of us, and these giant leg shots, we'll say, of men and women. And it was just not the greatest executed idea when it came to cameras, because these shots, the cameras needed to be shooting wider. is what needed to happen. But they were doing these tight shots and framing them up, actually just like kind of like how I am, maybe a little back further than me, but you could see basically their waist up, but it was like these giant pictures of people, and the framing was wrong. Like it should have been like shoulders up, but because of the long frame. So I was curious as to like, yeah, I was curious to know how it was that they were shooting this. And what I found out was the production director went up to all of the cameras and took sticky notes and put it on both sides of the viewer, so that when the camera operator was operating, they could only see the middle section, which means that they would frame up in the middle section and not put things off to the left or right. It actually, like, you can do it with, you can cameras typically have the ability to frame it up like that, and you can just keep them in the center quadrant, but not a quadrant. It's a 3x3, right? So whatever the middle piece is. But anyways, they put these sticky notes on there. Maybe there were weaker cameras. I don't know. They were converting to SDI. I did notice that, and probably going back to a Blackmagic, but it wasn't great framing. And something like this would allow you to dynamically change the video inputs so that you could potentially avoid something like that. Now, that conference more than likely would not be able to afford a piece of hardware like this. And so that becomes the issue, right? Like, the price point really becomes, it's great technology, but if it's in the like tens of thousands of dollars for a video processor, I don't know. I think that there's a massive market there that gets missed. And, it's unfortunate that that's the way that it probably is going to pan out, because they're looking to sell these things to major stadiums and sports teams or whatever, and they're not necessarily going for like the mid-level collegiate or church of 1,000 people or less. That's not really their market. So it's a shame too, because I think that there's a great creative potential in those spaces that gets overlooked because they're not going to make a ton of money on them. But anyway, hey, it's that guy you are. Hey, what's going on, Angus? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Always a pleasure. Hey, what an odd time to drop into a stream. No idea what the context is, but that sounds like strange framing. Yeah, so it's basically a story about... So we just got done looking at an announcement from Panasonic, and Panasonic is basically launching a device that... Now, no idea if this is available, by the way, but they are launching a device that can take any aspect ratio that you want and can form an output for it, and then actually even spit out... Come on, where is that? There it is. So see how we have here the computer showing the program in preview, and then they've put in their video, and they're able to like layer it up and edit everything. So that's pretty neat. I do notice up in the top left-hand corner it says QSFP. Does anybody else see that right here? QSFP 1 of 2, and then it's showing some sort of like metering. So this is something I want to look at NAB if I have time. Not that I think that I will ever be in the market for one of these, but you never know. And you never know if you'll ever end up working on that. So
how neat is that?
It's pretty neat. Hey, this is an excellent shirt. Yes. So I don't know if you can see, but it is it's a TNG shirt, and just because I'm a nerd like that, I'm really interested in what Panasonic's doing here. I think that it's good stuff. Oh, or even excellent if spelling is important, which it is. That's okay. We understood. I didn't even notice your error because I look right past that stuff. But anyway, all good. So Panasonic's busy, man. They've got this video formatter, basically saying you can send us any format for the screen, and we'll help you arrange your video outputs, and then we'll send it to the screens. So it's a great little... I think it's an iMag product that there's a lot of potential there. All right. Well, one of the things that we need to talk about is this big announcement from BirdDog, and their website promo video is par for the course for BirdDog, but I actually don't want to watch that. I want to watch CJ, because CJ is far more concise and more articulate than the other stuff that's available online. So let's go ahead and watch the big announcement from Bird Dog.
Hi, I'm CJ Farrell here at the Bird Dog booth at ISE 2026. We're so excited to show off the brand new Play Pro. This is a evolution of our existing Play, and we basically have matured it, grown it up for professional installations and video workflows. You have your PoE, so you can just power it over Ethernet, HDMI output in 1080p on full NDI, or 4K 60 and NDI HX, and you also have the introduction of NDI KVM control. You have status light, it's quieter, faster, stronger. It also introduces a built-in mount that comes in the box, and we have it shown off in display right here. It's a VESA 175 compatible mount that comes right in the box. You can slap it on, mount it, and you're off to the races, and you can decode any NDI source that you want on your network. For more information, just go to birddog.tv.
Okay, so not sure. This looks to be in-house, like an in-house video. If I look closely, it might be Laurent that shot that. I'm not sure. Looking at the reflection, he's too short to be Jamie, so that's probably not who it is. And we shot it on a phone. So anyway, but all good. Let's talk about the product itself, because that looks promising. The price point is $300, and that's $300 US. Great. I'm all for that. One of the mentions that kind of get quickly overlooked was you can use it as a KVM. So, TriCaster or Studio Monitor or whatever all enable KVM so that you can control computers via NDI. This is actually a great use for NDI, and it's something that I haven't given up hope on. I should really KVM we'll talk about that in a second, but KVM my computers via NDI and see if that works well for here in my home. The issue that I have with KVM over NDI is it needs to be simpler. And I say that from an integration standpoint because integrators are not experts in your one thing. People hire me out so that I'll help them with their network. That's my thing that I do. But when it comes to here's what I want to do, here's my installation, I want to hire a company to do it. Typically, those guys aren't going to be able to specialize in one specific thing because they have to really be experts in like a dozen. So it's not super fair then to throw in a feature here and say, hey, KVM over NDI and not show here's how you do it. So I'm hoping that we'll see some how-to videos that come out from Bird Dog on that. It's also the guy to do it is CJ or Frank Christian, because they're very precise and have produced great training videos in the past. So looking forward to that. I'm assuming that's coming just because I want to see it in action. This does go back, however, to that conversation we were having earlier about I want to see it in action. And on that video that we were watching, CJ has one mounted to the back and it appears to be plugged into this screen. I don't see any other indication that it's working other than here's an example of it plugged into a screen. Now, that would be highly deceptive to have a non-working device plugged into a screen and it not actually functioning. But, maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. This video doesn't indicate anything like that. I also, though, did go to the distributor and try to buy one, and I can't. They're not currently available. Apparently, they're shipping in March, which would give me a 6-week window, which is not, not what I want to hear. I don't want to hear that it's ready in 6 weeks. I want to hear that it's available for purchase today. That's what I want to hear as a consumer and as an integrator. And so this is cool that it's real. Pretty excited because Play has definitely needed a serious update in terms of just a restart on that story. And I hope the Play Pro is the is the way forward. I do know that Bird Dog's, just from my history with them, I do know that Bird Dog's kind of vision for play has always been HDMI. And I saw somebody tune in either on LinkedIn or somewhere and said, wouldn't Pro indicate that this is going to have an SDI port? No, I actually don't believe that the Pro label implies an SDI port, because then we're talking about basically a replacement for Studio if it does HDMI and SDI. And I don't actually see that. I actually also I don't know of any rumblings from the people I know in this industry of a replacement for Studio coming, which I don't know if they're trying to just let that name retire. I'm not too sure why. Because the Studio was hands down the best selling product. It did just 1080p, but it was SDI in or SDI out, HDMI in or HDMI out, and it looped. So, I mean, we really need a product like that again. We need a product that is now I don't think it makes much sense from an outsider's point of view. I don't think it actually makes much sense because they have their 4K line, but it's very specific to HDMI or SDI, right? There are loops on those as well, but it's not really an HDMI and SDI product. It's one or the other, and you need to buy one or the other. And so if they were to produce a Studio-like product that was 4K, was the next gen of Studio, it would basically wipe out their whole 4K line. Because until the 4K line retires, and they want to, and honestly, here's what I would, if I'm just throwing things out into the wind, I don't expect anyone from Bird Dog to ever watch my show. So if I'm just throwing things out into the wind, when the 4K line retires, simplify everything and go back to the Studio format. That's what I want. Because then the question is, well, I have an SDI workflow by the Studio. I have an HDMI workflow by the Studio. I have an HDMI and an SDI workflow by the Studio. I have a SDI workflow that needs to be HDMI by the Studio. I have a HDMI workflow, but I really have some SDI monitors that go into Blackmagic by the Studio. The whole 4K family thing, there's too many of them. And 3 doesn't sound like a lot, but actually it's confusing. Well, what if I want an all-in-one product that does 4 SDIs? How often does that happen that you're not buying a rack-mountable unit? Like, there are other products on the market that do that. Quad is, I'm sorry, the rack-mountable, Ross Video? No, that's not right. Whatever the card is. That thing, which is basically a quad in a rack mountable thing with expandable, that's far more interesting to me than that, because then I can buy other products that go in that chassis. But a product that's just SDI, 4K SDI, 4K HDMI, or 4K quad, honestly, I think that you would solve the problem by simplifying the product line and bringing back Studio 4K. That should be the next thing. And retiring the encoder line, the 4K family, and going back to your Studio roots and doing Studio 4K. And then the answer is always get a Studio 4K. We have tons of them. We manufacture them like crazy. Everybody buys them. They're highly supportable. Maybe make them serviceable from the support standpoint. All metal case, slick like it was with the Studio. I'm sure that you'd have to put cooling in it, but anyway, I say all that to say this. I don't think the Play was ever designed to be an SDI like it's on the horizon. I don't think that the Pro label means that it has to be SDI. I actually think that the future is simplification and sell a ton of them. Make them widely available and sell a ton. And I hope that that's on the horizon, because quite frankly, I don't really want to buy one different product for all my different use cases. And oh shoot, now we're introducing SDI, but I have all these 4K HDMIs. Like, well, then I got to buy another one at how much? Just make a product that does the thing and make them convert so that It's a simple workflow. So that's okay. So back to the Pro. We have keyboard and mouse for KVM options, which is kind of cool. What I'm assuming is you plug in your keyboard and mouse to this device, you mount it behind a computer, and you plug it into NDI. And then you have a KVM-enabled computer via Studio Monitor or whatever that's outputting on NDI, screen capture, and then you can link to it on the Play and control that computer. Cool idea. I can even showcase that for you if you'd like, because it's an interesting way of doing it. As a matter of fact, let me see if I could try and set that up real quick, just so that the concept, for those of you who are not following me on this thing, can get it. So I'm gonna log into my. Now I just downloaded the latest version of NDI tools this morning. So we're going to launch screen capture on my NDI machine. That's the machine that generates all of my... do you agree to the license agreement? I already installed this. Yes, exit setup. So come on, screen capture. You got to launch now. There it is. Okay, so we are on my NDI computer. Okay, that's the one that generates all my NDI signals on my workflow. And here I'm going to turn on screen capture and enable KVM control. Then I am going to open Studio Monitor here on my computer, here in my office. I'm going to have to mute this. Hold, please. Echo, 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 echo. All right, so here is my vMix output. And I should share my screen. Here's my vMix output. That is doubling. And what I want to do is I want to go to my Knudsen office, and I want to look at the screen that is here on. This is the desktop for that machine. And KVM is an option. So I can enable KVM inside of Studio Monitor, and then I can just control this machine, which is incredibly handy because then I can just use Studio Monitor as my KVM. So I can open things, I can run programs, I can look at NDI tools. Here's the new one. We can, set up Studio Monitor if we need to, so that I can see what it is that I'm showing. But there's a loop there, so it's a simple idea, and you can run the computer and you can run the KVM inside. How did I do that? I open screen capture, right click, enable KVM, and then any NDI that on my network can enable KVM. So perhaps that is the answer that I need to do going forward, because the second part of the show, which I'm still rambling here on NDI stuff, is about JETKVM, which is a KVM that I just installed, but actually makes a little more sense to do it here. The other thing that I want to do, let me just grab my laptop real quick. Okay, so the other thing is I have a Mac, right? And the my laptop is how I primarily get to various devices in my ecosystem here at my house. So if we enable KVM here and we open... Oh, I don't even have NDI tools on this machine. That's funny. So instead of that, let's just open this, NDI for Mac, and let's see if it works across a Mac. Because if it does, this might be the answer, NDI for... use NDI to do this project. We're going to download the Mac version. Oh, that didn't take very long. Hey, NDI tools, can you stop asking for our firstborn every time we want to install this software? It's really annoying. I know I've complained about this in the past, but my goodness, guys, you really need to not require that every time. Oh, cool. I do a show, 5 projector screens, which we treat as content banner, iMag banner content for most of the show. But at times, we merge it into a 9600 by 1080 single playback. Yes, so that would be possible from what I'm seeing on that promo video. That looks like a very handy piece of gear for that show. I'm definitely interested, but will it be better than the upgrade from the original Play? Because now we're talking about Play, because I have one and it has consistently failed to be good enough. Wait, it has consistently failed to be good enough to really trust. It has, trust that it will fail. Yes. So the whole KVM thing, let's talk about that real quick, Angus, because that's interesting. Why is it showing this? That's not right. I don't know why. I guess I need to crop the bottom of this shot because positions. Whoops, not that one. Oh. I'm so confused. What if I show this one? There we go. That's something. I need to fix this other shot real quick, but the old PC shot's good. So here is the KVM, and we're just going to scroll down. We have to consent to. Are you sure you want to do this? Oh my gosh, I got to restart. It's a Mac. You're not supposed to have to restart. NDI, can you seriously, wait for it. Wait for the sound. Bueller? It doesn't want to restart. Oh, my computer turned off, but now it's not turning back. Oh, there it goes. All right. This screen, it went black, and yowzes, it needs to be cleaned. That's for sure. All right, let's log back in here and try and type in my password correctly. Okay. Here we go. The constant demand to re-enter the form really gets annoying. No, I trust that it will be stable. It's rock solid when it doesn't matter, but it always seems to know when it's in a production environment. So it's an interesting problem because boy, everything's reopening here. It's an interesting issue, mostly because oh my gosh, what? Stop. I gotta get into the startup menu on this. This is opening everything under the sun. Yeah, the consistency of the Play, like the issue was heat mostly from the previous iteration of that product. And it's the same form factor. I was really hoping that the Pro model would be all metal, because all metal would indicate that it could dissipate heat throughout the entire structure. But it looks to be plastic again. It is PoE, so it's a little bigger, which makes total sense. And as CJ suggested, it is definitely an upgrade to the previous. Like, it's a little more grown up, and they're expecting it to be more like commercial install. So, but it's twice the price. So I don't know, like, where is the PoE module the thing that's causing it to be twice the price? I really don't know. Let me NDI. Okay, so it's all here now. So if I go to video monitor and yes, allow, and then I say video monitor NDI sources none found. Is that because I'm not using Discovery Server? Discovery Server. Oh wait, yes. Settings, set up. No, I don't want to set up Discovery Server on here. Access Manager, right? NDI Access Manager, Advanced, and Advanced Discovery Servers. And that Discovery Server, let's just do that here. Access Manager. What do we have that listed at? Come on. You can do it. Run single TCP for Access Manager. What is going on here? Are we not connected anymore? Okay, KVM. No, I can't click on anything. That's weird. Oh, you know why? Because, oh, that's not good. No, I don't like that. So what happened was there's an authorization screen here that said, you're about to open this, but the KVM didn't show that. It's almost as if we need to tell the KVM somehow to run in administrative mode. So if I say Access Manager, you got to double click, evidently. Here, Advanced 1010. And we hit Apply. And then close. I'm not on the 1010. So that means I need to switch over to my NDI network. Wi-Fi settings or plug in, which isn't going to work. This isn't going to work for my workflow. But I do want to see. I do want to see if the Mac can actually. Oh boy. Well, it didn't like that, so I just need a hard line in, evidently. I don't even know what my Wi-Fi password is for this. It's been too long. You can tell I don't use it. You know who should know? Actually, my passwords should have this saved. Anyway, all that to say, the KVM needs to be started as administrative to allow that. It's a feature, not a bug. Yeah. So evidently, that's what I'll do. So we will exit this. Okay, KVM has been quit. And now I have the ability, because of my other KVM, to jump over into there and start screen capture HX. Okay, so I've got to go and actually find the product. So whoops. Yeah. Screen capture HX, run as admin. Yes. Okay, so now we're back up and running. Oh, and now I'm hearing myself again. Fantastic. All right, so I'm going to close this down. Now on this machine, I'm opening, I'm here again. And we're going to click on KVM, right? Oh, it didn't. Didn't launch KVM. So here, enable KVM. Now we're going to go back into here and say KVM. And now I've got access to this. Okay. So I'm going to figure this Mac part out later, but it's not going to make any sense for me to use this KVM function here at the house. So that's why I'm using JETKVM, which is the second portion of our service today. Service of our live show. Here's the thing, though, about here's JETKVM running. Okay. And that's what you're witnessing me control that over JETKVM. Yeah. Love the flippy video feedback. Oh, yeah. From Studio Monitor. Yeah, fun times. So the KVM feature would be really nice for big installs if you, with the BirdDog Play, the Play Pro, I should say. This is basically saying that you will be able to plug in a keyboard and mouse, plug this into your NDI network and link a KVM enabled screen capture on a TriCaster or something like that. And then anybody who connects or sits down at this computer can access it via KVM over NDI. That is, from what I know, that is a massive savings in terms of bandwidth for KVM, because traditional KVM is gigabits worth of data, whereas NDI KVM is only, especially over HX, is only going to be 3 megs. So this is something that we probably should look at as a legit, if this product is real and it doesn't suffer the same fate as BirdDog Play. According to CJ, it's been redesigned from the ground up. Now, from what I can tell, it's the same manufacturer. But, maybe not. I don't know. Let's go ahead and see what the promotion says. Sorry, everybody. Thanks for the shout out, Adrian. Appreciate that, and welcome to the show. Okay, so what is this? What is this? Is that a magnet? Is that what that is? And the cutting out of the, so here, for example, this little pop out. What is that? That. What is that? Is that a feature? Can I open it? Is that what that is? Can I get inside it? What's the purpose of that? Please make it stop. Okay, I'll mute it. These little holes, are these to secure it? Is that what that's for? Is this a magnet? I don't know. And then it skips right over and it says audio, HDMI, USB-C, PoE. So here's the thing is, I actually think this as a KVM solution is kind of a cool idea, because you can run screen capture on your TriCaster or your computers and access it. And I would love to test that out and see if that's real, because a $300 KVM throwdown box over NDI is convenient. However, gentlemen, it does not have the same functionality as my JETKVM does. So JETKVM is $100, not $300. It's an all-metal product. It has an LCD screen, and it's just powered by a USB-C, which gives you control of your keyboard and mouse, and it gives you a separate IP address. So when you reboot the computer, okay, when you reboot the computer, where is it here? So I have access to the machine. When I send this a reboot command, the HDMI, everything stays active, and when the HDMI comes back, it shows me the loading screen. Whereas with KVM, you would have to be sure that you have an auto login, and that, which is not that secure, and you would have to have KVM auto enabled on boot up, which I'm not too sure how you do that. So when I restarted Screen Capture HX, it did not auto restart the KVM. Now, maybe I started Screen Capture to start with, so let's exit. Let's go back here to Screen Capture HX, and does it auto enable KVM? Yes, it does. Okay, so that's just a matter of then the program launching. So let's go to shell or run startup Screen Capture HX, which is no longer available because I just deleted all of these. So why is New Tech Connect in here? Are you stinking kidding me right now? Oh my gosh. All right, let's delete these 3. We on launch, I want this to start bridge. Can we open file location? This will be a lot easier. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to copy and we're going to paste. We're going to copy and we're going to paste. And where else are we here? We're going to copy. Nope. Studio Monitor. That's what it was. Copy and paste. Okay, so now when the computer restarts, the KVM option will be open, which is nice, because I want that to happen. All right, so cool. We are. Please mute the video. I did. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're welcome. Looks like strap holes or strap holes. Strap holes or strap holes. Yeah. I guess so. I guess that's what it's supposed to be. It's not super clear, but maybe it is. What I did like about the video that our buddy CJ did was that they are going to include a VESA mount. It's just a side mount, but this makes total sense if you. What? Stop it. Uh-oh. All right, so this makes total sense. If this is a pro product, you need to include the mount, but it's just a side mount for the actual VESA mount itself, and so you just strap it onto the side, and then everything's kind of connected together. And then the actual Bird Dog is PoE enabled, so single cable connection, which I love, or USB-C if your TV needs a USB-C. But this makes sense in big installs if you're using it for KVM, but it also makes sense for integrated installs when it comes to signage and that sort of thing. PoE enabled, and then I'm sure that you can use the API to push commands off of your companion or whatever. So
175 compatible mounts.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's a good idea. I'm glad that they include it, that it's not one of those stupid purchase. Comes with the box, so you don't have to buy it separately. So there's an extra, like a cost value thing that's going on there. And if it's KVM enabled and you have a keyboard and mouse plugged into this unit, and you would just use a wireless keyboard and mouse to really make it versatile, then then you could have 3 of these on 3 screens, and then you could just have a Logitech MX series and 1, 2, 3. Like have it enabled that way. But whatever, there's lots of cool ideas and options there, and I think that if it's available for purchase, I'm all about. I do not like this launching sequence, and Bird Dog keeps doing this thing since I left, where they say we don't launch products until they're ready. It's not ready, guys. Like, I can't go to Broadfield and buy it. So as a consumer, I see this as not ready. Because, we're having some pipeline issues. We're having some getting it to the... No, stop. That's a part of going to market, is knowing that we've done this for... You're no longer a Kickstarter. You're no longer a startup company. You know how long it takes you to get these products to your distributors. The product's not ready as far as I'm concerned. And, it's unfortunate, but it's a cool product. If it's real, I'm excited about it, but I can't buy it. And so this seems to me like... you maybe went and got one off of the production line and brought it to the show. That's what it feels like, instead of it being ready to go. And so I'm a little critical. I'm a little more critical of Bird Dog just because I want them to launch products and me being like, wow, that's so cool. I'm going to go over to Broadfield's booth and buy some. Place an order. They'll be at my house this weekend. You know, that's what I want. I hope that they're real by NAB. I will be reporting on that. You better believe that I will be talking about whether or not Play Pro is a real thing. And they better be real by NAB because that's still several months away. So there you go. The product itself, really cool. NDI HX 4K, cool. NDI 1080, designed to be always on. So hopefully we won't have any melting issues. But gigabit cards, finally. Play was only 10100. HDMI, LED custom status light. I'd like to know what I can do with that. That sounds like fun. PoE, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, so cool. Here's the web interface. So you can select your output there. Failover is still a thing. You can put your own splash screen there. HDMI timeout, never. Manual restart. And then your typical Bird Dog network screens, system screens. 75. Isn't that 175? Maybe not. 75 VESA. Under the desk mount. That's okay. I like that idea. That's kind of cool. Oh, wait. It says 100 or 75. 100. Oh, that's what he said. It's 100 or 75. That's what he said. Okay. Here, Bird Dog, I hope you're listening. Your customer says, I pre-ordered the pod. What a mistake. I'll never again. That's what we're talking about here, guys. Like, the 6-week thing really burned you. Don't do that anymore. Don't do that anymore. Only talk about it when I can buy it. Only talk about it when I go to ISE, talk about your great camera line, talk about all the things that I can buy today. But don't talk about something until you can buy it. This is another example of that. I can't buy this today. I can pre-order it, but so many of us got burned on pod, and we're not going to do that again. So don't talk about it until I can buy it. Don't talk about it until I can buy it. You can pre-order it, but you can pre-order pod. What a mistake. Your customers. I didn't even say that. One of your customers said that. That's the way they feel. So stop talking about it until it can be purchased. That's the lesson we learned. And we didn't actually learn the lesson when we launch a product and then we go to, and then we go to broadfield.com and we type in Play Pro and look, out of stock. You didn't learn your lesson. You can't buy pod anymore, right? That's gone, right? What? Why is this on the website? No. Stop it. Why? Stop. That's not cool. Because look, there's no difference. There's no difference right now between these two products. We put that together, guys. My retailer has sent me an email every 3 weeks over the last 2 years saying my pod is 1 month out. It reminds me, I need to cancel that order. Guys, Bird Dog, come on, guys. I love you to pieces. This is the same. These are the same. It's the same. It's like the scene from The Office where Jenna Fisher hands Creed Bratton 2 photos and says, corporate needs you to distinguish the differences between these 2 pictures. And then it cuts to her and she says, they're the same picture. That's what this is. Don't talk about it until it's real. Getting hype over something that isn't quite real yet is not a good idea. Never has been and is not a good idea. And I'm sure people will say, oh, John doesn't know what he's talking about. Actually, I think I know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't talk about it until it's real. You know, this right here. Don't talk about it until it's real. It's a good Office reference. It's the same picture, guys. This is the same. Pod is still available for pre-order. Log in to pre-order your Bird Dog Pod. This thing was on the booth last year. It was on the booth last year. And it's not real. It's not real. Why are we doing this? I don't understand. It's a cute idea. It's not real, guys. Whoa, it's even sitting next to a new camera, which means you've updated the marketing, which means you think this thing is coming. This should be gone until I can buy it, until it's in stock, until you have use cases supporting this product. Until then, disappear this thing. And quite frankly, we shouldn't be talking about Play Pro until I can buy one. Or until you send me one and I can plug it in and it does all the things you say it does. Now look, CJ's on the floor, the show floor in Barcelona, promoting this, showing it physically there. But I saw a pod last year at NAB and it was being showcased, and it's not real. Customers understand this way better than you think they do. It's not a good idea. All right, rant over. I really hope Play Pro is a real thing because it looks cool. But it's the same as Pod right now. It's in the same state as Pod. And we all know how everybody feels about Pod. So watch out. Okay. So JETKVM. Maybe I should push this out because JETKVM saves the day today with the whole NDI KVM debacle that I just had live on camera. But JETKVM has really changed the way that I am... What is this? Oh, all right. So JETKVM is the product that I'm using not only to access my Mac Mini, but to access this machine, which is my NDI computer. And you saw me working with it here while I was doing NDI stuff. The nice things, here's the pros that I really like about JETKVM. First of all, it's a standalone unit. It's not, the KVM itself is not based on the computer I'm trying to control being on or off. I can even buy an addition to JETKVM. You can buy a product that will send the computer a power on command, and you wire the computer inside the chassis. It's a goes inside where a PCIe slot would go. It goes in there, and then you can give it a power on command, and it'll turn the computer on, which is awesome because that is really what you want with KVM. You want full control all the way from the administrative side all the way to power. And so these little guys are working really well. And if I sleep this computer, I can actually send it a virtual wake-up command, and it will work without that power option. But this screen is now just mirrored, and it's the same screen here on the KVM as it is in my confidence monitor. So when I open Studio Monitor, which I got rid of, so when I open Studio Monitor, it actually shows me the KVM right now and then the vMix output. And so if let's move this screen over here. Yeah. So this is the desktop now for, wait, this is, my current desktop. So let me fade this back. There I am. Hey. So now I'm seeing my confidence monitor and I'm seeing myself on my screen, the vMix output, but I'm also able to manipulate that screen inside the KVM. So I can jump in here, change things around, set up my confidence monitor, and then just move away from that KVM or close it. It's just a tab on my my browser, and it's pretty simple to use. And so now my confidence monitor is up and running. I can navigate away from there, and then I can, show you guys this screen, which is my desktop shared screen. So if I open up a website or want to talk about products or whatever, I put that on my main screen and we're off to the races. So that's pretty convenient, and it has been operating very well. I have two. I bought one last week and I bought one the week before because I like them so much that I decided, hey, I want both of these. One of the nice things about JETKVM is you can also then attach it to a cloud service, which you secure with login credentials of your own. And so I have done that. But then when I am on the road, which I am going to be here soon, I have access to both my NDI PC and to the Mac Mini that's here in Bonacqua. So I can connect to those over the network because these JETKVM units are registered to my login. So then I can connect to the KVM, and again, it just simply logs in and it's easy peasy. So love that. Love how simple that is to get around, and we can go back to my other devices. So if I have multiples, if I've you could buy this if you have a big client, you could buy this unit, register it to yourself, and then send it to your client and say, hey, plug this into that computer that you and I work on, and then it will show you when that machine is online or not, and you can natively log into it with administrative control. So when I send the NDI PC a reboot command, it will show offline until that computer comes back online, until it goes to the start menu, and then it will say online and I can connect to it again. And it's really nice. They re-released it. No, they didn't. They didn't re-release Pod. With some garbage about higher price and pre-orders honoring the lower price. You can also install tail scale on JETKVM, which is my preferred way to go. Oh, nice. Well, that's a cool idea. Which is a secure method, right? So far, I really like it. There's only one major downfall that I have experienced, and it is when I connect to my Mac Mini. Something is going on with the commands to the Mac Mini. Let me pull up that machine. So this is the Mac Mini remote, and you got to wake up the Mac because it goes right to sleep. So you wake it up by sending it a virtual command. And I'll log in here. The issue I have, there's my entire schedule. The issue I have here with this is that when I click off of this screen, it goes into like I'll open a private window. When I click on vMix, it goes to like expose mode, which I'm not too sure why it does that. And it's really annoying because when I'm working inside DaVinci and then I click off of it, it keeps doing this weird number where it shows all the windows on the screen. I don't want it to do that. The other thing I noticed is because of that, I think this is the same function. Because of that, I'm not going to open my email because it's like got all my emails together. But when I click on an email and the mouse is natively connected to the Mac, it behaves just like a Mac. It shows it just highlights the email and shows me the preview on the right-hand side. When I'm connected to JETKVM, when I click on an email, it opens it full screen. And I hate that. And so I was trying to figure out, okay, what's wrong with this? And AI and a whole bunch of search engines that nobody really has any explanation as to what the deal is with that. So I don't like the fact that when I click off of JETKVM, when I'm remoted in via IP address or connected through the interwebs, it does this weird like desktop view, and then also my emails open full screen, which most of them, as you probably saw, are just promotional things. Jenny's Ice Cream here in Nashville, which is delicious. It is becoming a problem, a vice. But Jenny's Ice Cream, they send me a promo. Well, I don't read those. I just archive those. But when I click on it to archive it, it opens it full screen. Well, I don't want that. I just want it to behave the same way as if I were to have a mouse directly connected to it, because that's the whole point, right? So I'm not too sure what's going on there. And I'm open to suggestions if anybody has any ideas, but I doubt you do, because I definitely have no idea. Anyways, so these little guys are great, and I really like the remote option because it does mean that I'd be able to send these to clients, especially people that I'm helping or doing things remotely for on a regular basis, and just say, plug this into the internet and plug this into the computer that you want me to manipulate, and I would have direct access right here in my home office. And so for $100, that's depending on what I'm billing, or if the customer wants to like go ahead and let's set up that level of support, then we could offer that. So that'd be kind of a cool way to do things. Have your own KVM on the system. So that's the update after a week of using KVM. Now I have two of them, JETKVM. Now I have two. I think I'm going to take the one from the NDI computer and take it to the soundstage next week and plug it into the studio and see if there's a way. As you recall maybe from last week's show, the Mac Studio that we have over there runs two screens, one for both of them for ProPresenter, but one is your home screen that you control ProPresenter 7 from, and the other one is your show screen, and that's the one that we're porting out via SDI over Blackmagic Duo 2 and sending that over to our video switcher and into our production suite. So what I need though is to plug JETKVM into the studio and then be able to see just screen one, right? But you have to plug it in via HDMI, which means that I'm going to have to do USB-C to HDMI and then go to, which I have one of those, and then go copy screen one. So I want to take 3 screens, and on screens 1 and 3, I want them to be mirrored, and on screen 2, I want it to continue to be its own. So I don't know if that's going to work, but on Sunday, I'm certainly going to try that out. Now, the last thing I will tell you is next week, I'm going to have to pause the show next week because I'm out of town and not going to be available. I'm going to be down near Atlanta working on a little project with some new friends of mine working on their network. So I will be in Atlanta next Thursday, and we will resume this show the following Thursday. So plan on that. We'll take a week off, and I will report on what I can on that project and how it went. So I'm looking forward to that. Going to have a little drive time next week, and then potentially going to have a little fly time the next week. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I haven't decided everything yet. But that's the next week's schedule, and by then ISE will be wrapped up, and all the official things will be on the website, so maybe we'll have some more to talk about there. With any luck, I'll have a little time to work in the barn, which is where I'm building my new office and recording studio. And hopefully I'll have something to update there. By then, it will be, what day will that be? Next week's show would have been the 12th. So it'll be the 19th will be our next show. And that, I should have another iteration of things to install. Matter of fact, I should be doing the framing for the fourth and fifth wall this week. I should do that like today or tomorrow. As long as I can finish up Sunday's stuff, and I need to jump ahead a little bit on next week because I'm going to be out of the office, out of my office next week for a few days. So as long as I can get a handle on that, I might try and do some of that this week, and then I'll have some photos for the show on the 19th. So pay attention to the YouTube page, and you will see whatever the next show's plan is. So that'll be fun. Get that ready to go. All right. It is 11:37, so we have spent our time, and I'm hoping that this has been fun to take a look at what's going on at ISE, to hear about all of my quirks, and to get me up on a soapbox about products launching before they're ready. Looking forward to NAB. I'm going to be there. I'm planning on going, and I'm really looking. I have like a hit list of things that we want to look at from Safe Harbor's stance, from my standpoint as a network integrator, and the great beyond. And from this show, I'm hoping to do a little bit of quick videos like I did last year to show you the booths that we are perusing. I'm going to try and do a better job of videoing booths as we go to them, and then doing a quick little video about that, and then having that all saved. I really need to think about my camera. I just used my iPhone last year, and I think it worked well, but I need to go in with, like, I had a 360, Insta360, what's it called? It was like a little gimbal, and it worked really well. And I just want to figure out the audio side of things because that was kind of cumbersome. Actually, remember I got my microphone in my hat, and that was cool. And I might try and do that again. I don't know. We'll see. we'll spend some time in April setting that up, which is coming up. NAB is what? Let's see here. This is so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 10 full weeks away. It'll be on the 11th week. So we are still 2.5 months out. So lots of time to figure out logistics. But I'm looking forward to NAB. And I think the things that were announced, I mean, we're going to go check out Netgear for sure, but the things that were announced at ISE, we definitely need to make sure that they are real, because if they're not real by NAB, that's 11 weeks away, and that's not cool. So hoping for the best, and hopefully we're going to see some really cool stuff. In the meantime, guys, take care of yourselves. I really appreciate you hanging out with me today, as always, and I hope you have found our conversation beneficial. I'm going to go open Studio Monitor. Here's the KVM, and I need to make sure the music's still playing. Yep, okay. We're good to go. I'm using the KVM right now. So the Studio Monitor KVM. So it does work. It's just not universal through my network. So we'll have to figure something out for that. Anyway, have a great week. Take care of yourselves. Always a pleasure. Angus, good to see you. Welcome to our returnees, Happy Camper, and our new watcher, Adrian. Good to see you. Thanks for being with us, and we will see you guys in the next one in 2 weeks on the 19th. All right. Cheerio. Bye, guys.